everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and something is going to happen in the replay where I play the Manticore today, which just isn't going to happen next patch, so I guess it's never really going to happen again, at least the vast majority of the times inside World of Tanks. So I'm playing the Manticore on Runeberg, and this is always a challenge, right? You got yourself onto a city-based map, and you're thinking, like, what do I do when I play a light tank? But luckily, with the Manticore, this thing is an absolute beast. It's able to get itself up to like 50% camo, maybe even 54% camo when you're using like a bond exhaust like this. And so, even though you're on a city map, you can still, which is very small, right? We can see all the way across it pretty much when we sit in the middle. We can still become like the master of vision. And even though, you know, when you're on a city map, the light tanks clearly aren't quite as useful. You don't have all of those, usually those tank destroyers in positions where every time you light someone up that they're going to get absolutely clapped. But you can still put yourself into scenarios where you can still try to get some vision for your team. And immediately, a dream, right? We managed to get rid of both of the enemy light tanks. And so now I know that I'm going to be able to be a little bit sneaky. Now, one of the things that has always been great about the Manticore is its 390 alpha damage. But its reload is really long. Now, while a lot of the light tanks at tier 10 get 390 alpha damage, the Manticore, through having it doesn't really matter that it gets this tragically long reload, right? The reload on this tank base is 14 seconds, and by not improving it with a gun rammer and so on and so forth, you have to kind of like run away anyway. So it doesn't really matter that its reload is so long, because when you fire, most of the time, unless you're stacked behind some bushes, you're going to get spotted. And so, you have to go hide. You have to hide for about 10 to 12 seconds, depending on whether your opponent has designated target or not. And if they're using a directive like me, you better be hiding for more like 14 or 15 seconds, as the directive doubles the effect of designated target. And so it doesn't really matter that your reload is so long in a vehicle like this, because more often than not, you're having to hide in between your shells. So I've done some just great damaging work here, that kind of like harassment, use the gun's potential, just keep trying to be cheeky. Sometimes I might have got shot from the center, but sometimes you're not going to get shot from the center. It's about taking those risks to be able to try and get yourself a foot in the game. And if we hadn't vanquished both of the enemy's light tanks, we'd be down a frag and down a substantial amount of hit points compared to what the case is with our 2,000, nearly 800 combined so far this game. So, artillery found themselves in a bit of a sticky situation, and I have intuition on the Manticore so I can juggle out between the shells. I don't think I necessarily have intuition so much for the Manticore, but I think I have intuition mostly for the Senlac, as far as I can remember, because that is a vehicle that truly does need to be able to use its fabulous HE rounds. So the ISU 152 doesn't quite manage to catch me, and I whiff a shot there against the ISU, and that's a really brutal thing to do in a Manticore, because I've already fired 8 of the entire 20 shells that this vehicle has. Luckily, next patch Wargaming are going to be changing it, so it is going to have 30 shells instead, so it's going to have 50% more ammunition. Wargaming are also changing all of the light tanks in the game, as I highlighted in my big rebalanced video yesterday. They're changing all of the light tanks to have more hit points. And the Manticore is no exception. It's getting 200 extra hit points, meaning I guess you're going to be packing up to 1,670. That sounds way more like a tier 9 medium, right? Light tanks. Is it going to be a light tank meta next patch? Possibly. Unfortunately, that was a little bit of an ugly play there by me, and I'm quite lucky that I didn't get hit in the back. But again, chances, and I feel like, yeah, I've probably been a little bit too chancy in that situation. And I'm quite lucky to still be in this game. But with the round seemingly just going a little bit wry right now, with the enemy having a 279E just charging down this position, I was really hoping that I'd be able to get him. But oh my word, my elevation problems. We can't get it up, boys and girls. And oh, even bigger disaster than not being able to elevate the gun here is that we actually missed the 279E. But luckily, he gets shut down by an SPAC 105. So that's good news. The 279E isn't going to continue to maraud his way across that flank, finish off the arty, and that might have been doom for our chances of coming back into this game. So fairly fast run on Runeberg here. The good run of shots that I had at the beginning of the game seemingly dwindling now. with a few missed shells. And again, as I highlighted, this thing doesn't carry a lot of ammo. We've only got 9 shells left, and there's still 4,600 hit points left on the enemy team to try and deal with them. One of the worst things about the Manticore, apart from that ammunition, is the fact that you quite often have to dip into your gold rounds when you wouldn't want to. Usually in this situation, I'd probably intuition switch out to AP, but I've only got 1 more AP shell left, so it feels like, what's the point there? I'm not sure about this play now in retrospect of going and trying to go onto the same side as the T95, but now also thinking about it, knowing that the FP405 is on reload, I might as well use an HE shell here, just because I was thinking at the time, well, I've only got now 7 shells left. I'd rather waste the HE shell to finish off the FP405, and I might need the AP or APCR later, as all of the vehicles now remaining, apart from the artillery, are fairly heavily armored, and we're going to struggle to be able to deal with them with the HE shell. So I'm going to go back for the AP. We have Pat in the tank out in the open. He doesn't actually manage to see us there, and that's just what's so crazy about the Manticore. I'm going to fire a shell. Ricochet! It looked like it was green, but I think the Pat in the tank stopped reversing into the front of his tank, bucked up. So another ricochet. Super painful when you've got so little rounds left in the Manticore. And again, this is just something that won't happen next patch. You're going to have 30 rounds, which is usually more than enough to be able to get through a round. Having those 10 extra means that you're going to be able to blind fire in the Manticore. Having those 10 extra means that you're going to be able to get through these stressful situations a lot easier. So I come in to try and help this SVAC. Unfortunately, the T95 finishes him off. I'm hoping that if I turn the T95, that the CC Mark II will be able to help me. And I'm just thinking, what's this T95 going to do? Okay, bait him as far around the corner as I possibly can, and then get going, fire a shot into his side, check that I'm not about to have a disaster and go into a corner, and when the T95 transfixiates on the CC Mark II, which he luckily doesn't manage to penetrate, we start our 2 versus 4 situation, finishing off the Tier 9 Italian. Well, not the Tier 9 Italian heavy tank destroyer, right? The Tier 9 American heavy tank destroyer in this case. Okay, so with him shut down, I'm a one-shot for the T-30. If the artillery hits me in close quarters, going to be a one-shot as well. It's a case of, oh, how stressful do these endgame situations get? And how do I use all of my rounds? The enemy still have, at least when the T-30 was last spotted, near full hit points, meaning they've got 2,100 between them. I can't one-shot the arties unless I penetrate an HE shell. Maybe on the Lorraine 155-51 I can save a shell there. But still, the amount of ammo that I have, I only have enough to penetrate the Lorraine once, hopefully with a penetrating HE shell, 2 shots into the FV207, and that means I've only got 1 round left for the T-30, so clearly I'm going to have to work with the CC Mark II. In retrospect, I do feel that I probably should have been communicating how much ammunition I had in this game, and that I really needed that CC Mark II to be able to get through this. So I'm going to return to where the story began and have an oh whoops moment as the T-30 does spot me. Dodge, 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 dodge. Try and get safe. Now think about the artillery shells. Shall I drive out in front of the T-30 here? And I don't think he's going to be able to hit that shell. And the idea of staying there and getting caught by the artillery would be way worse. But interestingly enough, our CC Mark II has actually made their way up. And so that means I'm going to tell him to stop, because what I want to do is try to get over towards the bushes here, just to make sure that we can keep an eye out on the T-30. I also communicate saying, let me get the SPG first. And also, you know, I'm still going to be able to spot that T-30 by just going into the bush here and catching him with some vision to the side. So I'm thinking, is this where to invest those APCR shells? Oh, it's a chancy one, right, guys? But if I get what I feel is a really clean shot after my concentration activates, I'm going to take it. We hit the T-30. That'll probably keep him in check now. So I don't think the T-30 is going to... He's actually going to cross the corner now. And actually, that should provide a good opportunity for my CC Mark II to catch them in the backside. And it looks like they do. The CC Mark II now reducing the T-30 to a 3rd hit point. And he actually finishes him down now to being a one-shot. Great marksmanship by Coyote there playing in the CC Mark II. So the Lorraine comes around the corner. I'm going to intuition switch because I don't want to waste an APCR shell, which would be a 50-50. I want that guaranteed shell on the Lorraine. Going to go right up alongside him, finish him off, and seeing the artillery fire there makes me a very happy chappy. So, luckily, the artillery is actually down to 325, which means that if I reload in time, I'm not going to quite do it. So I'm worried that the T-30 might be making their way along here now, so I'm actually going to take a wide berth and go towards the edge of the map. And I'm quite nervous right now, because if the T-30 sees me, that is going to be a very ugly situation. but I feel like I've committed. We've got 5 minutes left into this game, and to be fair, the T-30 might be doing anything right now, so I'm not going to hold. But wow, the RT doesn't see me, and that, ladies and gents, boys and girls, is just 54% camo rating. Absolutely wild stuff that the artillery doesn't see me, and so the T-30 isn't going to know exactly where we are. So in this kind of a situation, the CC Mark II has actually gone their way through the town. I think that's the right play, because the T-30 would have probably fallen back from there. But also, now we see in the cap, that might give us a better idea as to where the T-30 is, right, guys? 5,000 damage, something that you don't see in the Manticore every day, and 1,000 spotting as well. And we are now down to the final shell. All rounds nearly spent, 19 shots fired, 1 shot left, and I'm going to invite Coyote to the platoon here to see if we can manage to be able to get ourselves a Brothers-in-Arms medal. In theory, we'd still get the Brothers-in-Arms medal. I'm not sure if you even have to win to get Brothers-in-Arms. All you have to do is stay alive and get 3 kills each, right? So if we hit in the corner, we'd still kind of like win the medal. But you know what? We're not going for medals here. We're going for wins. And it all comes down to this final shell. And we're going to be contesting what would be one of the harder medals to get in the game naturally, without, should we say, fudging it and trying to fire all of your shells before you fire the last. And whoa, we're going to take it, hit that 62 base defense points, and also manage to finish off the T-30 with the final remaining shell in the Manticore. And this is just something that you won't see next patch. The Manticore struggling with its ammo loadout in these close games. With the ammo increase to 30, that's going to be, it should be more than enough. I could have this amount of damage plus 50%. So that's 7,500. That's going to be a very meaty amount of damage for a tier 10 light tank to do. Realistically, let's be honest, what most Manticore drivers are going to do actually is probably take maybe a couple extra HE rounds, or at least one extra HE round, and probably spent most of the game firing those 10 shots blind at bushes to try and get some of that free damage, right? But at least you'll have that opportunity to do so. Whereas currently with the Manticore, it's very much only if you're kind of like 80-90% sure should you be wasting those for a very time-limited, precious 20 rounds. So a successful ending to a tense game, getting that Faden's medal for destroying the final enemy vehicle with the final shell in your vehicle. Pascucci's medal for destroying 2 artillery Brothers-in-Arms medal for playing with Coyote, who also had a cracking game of World of Tanks. A high caliber medal, which is unusual for a Manticore, and a Confederate medal as well for damaging at least 6 opponents that were subsequently killed by our allies. And one thing is for certain is I'm very much looking forward to not having to waste so many credits on ammunition, because I'm not just going to take 10 extra APCR rounds. I'll probably take 6 extra AP rounds and maybe 4 extra APCR rounds, and then that will mean so much more enjoyment for the Manticore with not having to waste those gold rounds, especially in your nice matchups. Although, you know, now the Manticore is going to be meeting tier 11s, maybe you're going to want to take more APCR rounds, right? Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was a super exciting end game situation, which actually worked out well for a change, and something that you're not going to see in the future with the Manticore running out of ammo and having to make really tense, tough decisions at the end of the game. Anyway, that's it for today. Really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video as it goes live on Monday, I'm going live all day on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby with some brand new drops. And more importantly, I am sweating on the battlefield right now, trying to gather as much experience as I possibly can in this absolute circus of a tier 10 matchmaker to try and get ready for those tier 11s. So really looking forward to seeing you all live right now. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.